Yo, that's funky as hell, y'all. Shout out to my intro song. I like that one, man. I hope it's not copyright violation of any sort. I just found it on YouTube today, and I'm like, yo, I like this. This shit is popping. Hey, guys, thanks for being here. It is week 3 of the college football season. I'm Rico Knows. If you don't know the deal, your friends don't know, but Rico knows, right? So, this past weekend, we had a really rough weekend, and that happens in the world of gambling. I can remember last year, I had 2 weeks in a row where I went 37%, if I remember correctly, and back-to-back weeks. And the MVPs were like, we're out of here. You know, a lot of people always ask me, what are you betting when you do this? Why don't you have your betting slips? Where's your betting slip? Where's your chart? And I always tell them, like, I'm betting my reputation, bro. If I hit a bet, I don't know how many MVPs I gain when I get a bet right. But I can tell you how many I lose. And when I lose paying members because I miss a pick or I miss something, it hurts me down to my core because I wish they understood what we're doing here. And they need to understand that we're going to dominate the whole year, right? You might have a bad week, and that could be misuse of your units and how you manage them. That's your business. But I'm just going to tell you that quitting is never the answer. It really isn't, man. And it's unfortunate. I can remember I missed a bet. It was UNC this past weekend. It was North Carolina. And I had them, I said they're going to beat Charlotte and cover the spread. It was a lock. It was on the list. And we covered the spread. We were in good shape. And then we just had a bad beat in the last minute, 2 minutes of the game, whatever it was. And that bad beat, we miss. But some of these kids, some of these teenagers, these 18 to 20-year-old, 24-year-old, whatever they are, they think they're gamblers. Some of these MVPs at a young age, all they do is see the miss. And they don't see that it's a bad beat. They don't see that we had it correctly identified. We read it correctly. The fact that you would want to take Charlotte in that moment and hope for a backdoor cover is insane. I would never bet on that. If it happened, congratulations, but that's not something you should bet on. It's kind of like UFC, right? UFC, you'll see two fighters, and you'll be like, hey, can this guy win the fight? And you always say the same thing. Well, he's got a puncher's chance. He's got a chance to knock him out. But you're about to bet on a knockout. That's probably never happened. Well, he's never been stopped before, but he's got a chance to get a knockout. It's just not somewhere you should be putting your money. So while we missed, it was tough, but it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bad. The leans knocked it out the park, by the way. Absolutely dominated the leans all weekend long. I'm so proud of myself for that. But it was a rough day. It really was. And I don't ever want to ignore it. I do want to say one thing before we get into the ACC and everything else. When I pull this up, I can go to week 2 games. And you see the red there. It's bad. It's bad. But what if you only bet these leans? You would have been on top of the world. We only missed 4 leans. I wish these were the locks. I would have looked like a genius. I got all the leans right. When you go look at the props, the spread, the lock props hit really good early in the morning. Would have looked like a genius. Some MVPs only bet these and won amazing amounts of money by avoiding the red. That's what they do. I got MVPs sending me screenshots of everything they won, and I'm proud of them. What I'm most proud of last week is this right here. Telling you to bet the money line on an underdog that I think is going to win the game. And I accurately predicted 80% of the underdogs. 80%. 4 out of 5, that's 80% when picking an underdog to win the money line. That's insane. That's me telling you I think Vegas got these spreads wrong. I think they got these games wrong. And these teams are going to win the money line. I believe in these teams. 4 out of 5. If you didn't bet those, you probably lost your ass all weekend. You probably hate me. Probably went over here and bet all this. But listen, at the end of the day, none of these, your unit management is your business. But everything here is 1 unit. At max, 1 unit. I don't dictate unit size. I don't dictate unit amounts. That's for MVPs to figure out on their own. And some MVPs are better than others. But you shouldn't be like, well, I'm down $300 because I believed in so-and-so. Bro, that's on you, dude. I have nothing to say to you. I have nothing to say to you. You're a terrible gambler. That's what I meant to say to you. You're a terrible gambler. If you treat everything equivalent, you would have ended up 17-17 on the weekend. You would have been just fine. Just fine. If you treated everything equivalent, you would have ended up in positive money because we hit all these underdogs. 17 and 17 here, straight up way beyond 50% here. You would have been way positive if you bet everything on the chart. Just saying, 1 unit on everything on the chart, you would have been way positive. But I'm RicoKnows. Oh, by the way, while that was going on, we were cleaning shop in the UFC. UFC went 10 and 2 on the night, and the 2 you would have probably skipped. They were value bets. You don't even have to take those. Remember, the value bets only hit at 41%. We don't always take those. Everything else, oh my goodness, clean sweep. Locks, parlay, hit, plus 139. That's the locks parlay. It's always going to be something safe that we can knock out and never miss. Shout out to the MVPs. Dominated the UFC. By the way, UFC Noche is this weekend, September 14th, this weekend, and I already have a 40-minute video on UFC Noche. The chart's already out. It's already posted. I don't want to go too far. It's posted on the Discord server. The UFC Noche chart is out. It'll be posted on Patreon after the show. But the video's up on YouTube and Patreon. If you want to know who's going to win this weekend, we dominate UFC. But here we are. Get to the Patreon, search RicoKnows, become an MVP. We have over 4,000 members on Patreon. Shout out to you. You guys are changing my life. All right, let's talk about college football news before we get into the ACC. And I'll scroll down a little bit. It's a pretty big deal if you're paying attention. LJ Martin, doubtful for week 3. Pretty big deal. Let me go a little further down. I apologize. Let me go a little further down. Nah, these are all fine. We already addressed all these on the server. Pretty big deal. Northwestern's going to start a new quarterback against Eastern Illinois. It's Eastern Illinois. They should win the game. Questionable for Saturday. Remember, your injury designations are probable. Well, they're playing. Probable, questionable, doubtful, out. There you go. That's your meter right there, right? Probable, questionable, doubtful, and out. Probable is 90 to 95% they're going to play. If you see somebody with a probable injury designation, they're playing. Okay. Questionable, it is 50-50. Straight up 50-50. Doubtful, less than 50% that they're going to play. I tend to, whenever I see doubtful, I just say they're not playing. I have very rarely seen somebody doubtful play and be 100% or significant, like impacting the outcome of the game. And then 0 is there. 0 is they're out. So Taj Brooks, the star running back for Texas Tech, is questionable for Saturday's game against North Texas. Just be aware of that. Chris Hilton, listed as day-to-day for LSU. Torrey Horton is hopeful to play versus Colorado. I just named a bunch of injury designations. Hopeful is not one of them. I don't know what the fuck hopeful is. Careful. CJ Smith, unlikely to play versus Notre Dame. They're making up new ones, bro. The ones I just gave you are the ones we use on injury reports. I used to be a sports writer. I was a journalist at a newspaper in the year 2000. I did that for 3 years before I joined the military and became a cyber expert. I used to be a sports writer for a newspaper, like one of those fucking things you flip over and open. Yeah, that was me. Getting stories off the wire in agate text. If you're a real writer and you know what I'm talking about, shout out to you. Some of you bums don't know what I'm talking about. This is the news that's going to matter. BYU, LJ Martin, doubtful for week 3. Not playing this week. They play Wyoming. You see the spread on the Wyoming game and you're like, oh, BYU should beat them by way more than that. Well, he's doubtful and his backup is also doubtful. So they're down to their 3rd string running back. Have you seen their quarterback throw? BYU's terrible. Defense is elite. Questionable for week 3, Cam Coleman. Caleb Johnson, listed as the starter on the depth chart for Iowa. I don't care. Iowa's offense is gross. Carson Gouda could return Saturday. Don't know what that means. Suffered a dislocated thumb in week 2, Wyoming running back. This is their backup running back. Their starter, Harrison Whaley, still hasn't played. Jabri Barber, out at least 2 more weeks. A&M needs this receiver. He's out at least 2 more weeks. I hope he's 100% when he finally gets there. Spencer Petras, chance to play week 3. That's terrible. They don't want Spencer Petras on the field. That dude sucks. I'm letting you know. This is the big one. Running back, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, eligibility in question. So if you guys don't know the deal with this, The reason Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt he wasn't utilized and played in the last Arizona game, and the reason they don't believe in using him and they're worried about him is there's been some eligibility concerns with him. He's already used all his years of eligibility. I'm going to try to explain this as best I can. I actually have an old video on this on YouTube if you try to find it. I don't know how. You got to scroll down and go look for it. But here's how it really works. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt used to play at a particular school. And at that school, they didn't keep track of stats accurately, supposedly. And word is he played part of the season wearing a jersey. And then after about 3 or 4 games, he didn't play anymore. But they gave his jersey to another running back. So that running back wore the jersey the rest of the season. But at the end of the season, they said Krosky-Merritt played the whole season. But he swore up and down he didn't play the whole season. That wasn't his number. That wasn't him. These games weren't televised. Supposedly, there's camera footage of the other number. I forget, let's just say it was 36 or something. So the NCAA was like, this guy's out of eligibility. This is why he was going to go to Ole Miss, and then Ole Miss said, never mind, we don't want you. It's because Ole Miss looked into it and said, oh, wait. You don't have any eligibility left. You played your freshman year. You played this year. I could pull up the whole thing, but I don't want to go over it again. I just want to tell you that there's concern from the NCAA side that, hey, they're lying. Because he had an old positions coach vouch for him, and somebody sent in a letter and said, hey, he didn't play in these games and all this stuff. Like, it's crazy. It's a really weird thing. It's a dude claiming he wasn't in the game, although his number was being used. He said, oh, somebody else wore my jersey, bro. It's nuts, man. I don't know. It's like, somebody saw your car going down the road, and you're like, well, I wasn't driving. But you were driving earlier in the day. Yeah, I let somebody else borrow the car. They were driving. Well, who's that somebody else? Let's have that conversation. Let's talk to that guy. Let me know why you swapped numbers midway through the season. It just seems really shady. And the stats at the school were apparently wrong because they had him playing the whole season and they gave him credit for all those stats. But then he's saying, "Oh, that wasn't me. That was somebody." It wasn't me, bro. Homie sounds like Shaggy. I don't believe him, but apparently the eligibility's in question. This is going to be a pretty big, significant blow because he's a good running back. The running back room at Arizona is pretty deep. They do have good players. They'll be fine. But this is a man who rushed for 19 touchdowns last year at New Mexico. It's not easy to replace that type of production. I think it's a huge hit to Arizona's seasonal aspirations for sure. We keep an eye on it, but it's going to suck, man. It's going to suck. And this is why you see certain lines the way they are in certain spreads if you're watching the sports books, if you will. So, just a little bit of news. But today's episode is about the ACC and about Conference USA. What I'm going to tell you guys to do is if you're watching this right now, if you got questions, comments, anything, put it in the chat. We let it build up. I will get to it after I'm done talking about the ACC. But I'm here to teach you about the Week 3 matchups. Before I do that, I like to always talk about the Week 2 results. So we have BYU against SMU. I live streamed this game with the MVPs on YouTube. We watched the game. We were on BYU to cover the spread. I really believe in BYU's defense, and I know that SMU just doesn't look like they're ready to make that next step. And this is all going back to last year when I watched them get beat in their bowl game by Boston College. When I watched them not look the part and not look as dominant as they are. Now, in the preseason, when I evaluated their talent's great. They got a bunch of talented players. I don't think Rhett Lashley is an elite-level coach. I think he needs to win when he has a talent advantage, and he had it in the American. He does not have it when he's playing these other teams. And here you play a team like BYU, who is just like SMU, a recently added Group of 5 team to the Power 4, and they're still trying to find their footing, but BYU apparently found it. It was an ugly game. It was very, very bad quarterback play by Preston Stone, by the way. I think he's done. He shouldn't be the starter anymore. I wrote this on Twitter in Week 1. On Twitter in Week 1, I said Preston Stone, they don't want him as the starter. They're going to bench him. They want Jennings. He's the future. And it showed. So if we're here to talk about the ACC, I'm going to tell you that it looks like SMU is just not ready for conference play. I don't think they match up well with a lot of the other teams that are just as physically dominant up front as BYU. BYU's defensive line was eating these boys up. And the only reason this game was even this close is BYU's quarterback is terrible. Retzlaff is not good. And both quarterbacks got injured. And there was no way for them to move the ball, and they still found a way to win because they're a well-coached team and they had an elite defense. SMU has a bunch of fast guys with no heart, bro. A bunch of fast dudes with no heart. I'm just keeping it real. That's how I look at SMU. They look like the leftovers from Miami that Miami had to get rid of. You'll notice a lot of SMU transfers come from Miami. It's just a lot of recruiting misses from Miami. Rhett Lashley recruited them. Rhett Lashley evaluated them. Rhett Lashley and his whole staff have friendships with them. And so they leverage those friendships and relationships to get those kids to transfer from Miami over to SMU. But it's just a bunch of dudes who they're not really about that life. They're not about development. I don't think they're committed to film development or film. Like, I don't think they're just committed to their craft. Bunch of just, dare I say, they seem just like a bunch of individuals. That's how I feel. Then we have Duke Northwestern. I told you guys Duke's winning this money line. Let's take it. Very scary. Bad weather in the game. Duke looked terrible all game. Northwestern makes you look terrible. They do. But Duke was really bad. The thing that Duke has that nobody can deny is Jordan Moore. Jordan Moore, wide receiver. I told you guys I liked him up to 70, 80 yards. He goes out and gets 121. In the wind, 11 receptions, 121. That's a pro, man. A former dual-threat quarterback. He was on the team trying to compete for the quarterback position, losing out to Riley Leonard and others. And it just looks like Jordan Moore has found his home at the wide receiver position. The last 2 years now, he's been one of the team's leading wide receivers. And this year, he's going to go out on top. He's great. He's going to be a stud. You got to throw him the ball as much as you can. Malik Murphy has the arm talent to get it there. Their coaching staff sucks. I don't like the Duke coaching staff even a little bit. They make a lot of terrible decisions. You just be watching the game and just be screaming like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's how I feel about Manny Diaz and them boys. So, congratulations. Miami against Florida A&M. Oh, I should be going through the box scores. That's my bad. Let's do this. Miami against Florida A&M. Daniel Richardson, good quarterback, just transferred in from FAU last year, I believe. He always looks pregnant, by the way. But shout out to Daniel Richardson for doing his thing. He's a decent quarterback. Hey, FAMU's a good team. And for them to go out there and get throttled, absolutely throttled by Miami, I was hoping to see more of Reese Poffenbarger actually throwing the ball, let him get some playing time. Obviously, the running backs are here. I still think A.J. Allen is special, and he doesn't get enough playing time, but obviously alpha male's in the room. But A.J. Allen's still a good player. Wide receivers, they can do what they want to do. Everybody's open. It's Waffle House. Waffle House. They're always open. Every single one of these dudes. Do what you want. Miami still looks elite. I'm with Miami all day. And remember, Tyler Barron is going to end the season with 6 sacks, and everybody's going to talk about how great he is. Just remember, he got his sacks against weak-ass FAMU. Just like last year when he got 6 sacks in the SEC, and everybody's like, oh my God, Rico, we got a 6-sack guy in the transfer portal. Do you know how great Tyler Barron is? I'm like, yeah, dude, I watched the tape. He got 2 sacks in conference play. That's a 2-sack dude in the SEC. I don't know how many he's going to get in the ACC, but it is what it is. They still have some injury concerns, but they're deep. They're talented. They're figuring it out. 3 easy interceptions. I like it. Goldie Lawrence, the Florida State transfer, out there playing well. I like Miami this year a lot. You guys know this. They're in my top 10. I had them in the preseason. What, I have them 7th? I just think so highly of Miami. I told you guys they're the best team in the ACC. And now that it's coming to fruition and they look the part, I hate everybody jumping on the bandwagon. I hate everybody taking credit for what I saw all offseason long. What I didn't see all offseason long was Tennessee. Tennessee took lunch money, and NC State needs to be embarrassed. This is at home on national TV. You're nationally ranked, and you're literally 40 points away from another national ranked team. You're 40 points short. Like, that's nuts. And your only touchdown is a defensive touchdown. In the end zone, Nico's trying to throw, they hit him, whatever, and it's a defensive touchdown. You don't do anything else this whole game. Trash. Tennessee's too fast. Too good, too strong. Tennessee running back looks great. Dylan Sampson. The offensive line's destroying people. Nico's still young, dumb, and full of, you know what I'm saying? He's still not there. I'm not on Nico like that. I don't think Nico's great. I'm gonna say it. The defense is stout. The defense got it done and made these dudes look silly. NC State, you look silly. I'm regretting that overbet that I made, and I think I made a pretty significant overbet. Several units. Regretting it, and that's what happens. That's what happens. They got a hell of a punter, by the way. Noon Keister, hell of a punter. Congratulations. Louisville, second week in a row, they beat the hell out of a hapless team that doesn't really impress me. I'm impressed with Jacksonville State getting away from Logan Smothers at quarterback and trying other options. You have Zion Turner. You have Tyler Huff. You cannot play Logan Smothers. He's not a real college football player. So I think they're going to go with Tyler Huff moving forward. This makes Jacksonville State decent. It makes them better than they were. They're still not good because they have no defense. But Tyler Huff gives them a chance. You see it here, 100-yard rusher. I don't know what's wrong with these running backs. Anwar Lewis and these guys, they should be better. Now, they're playing Louisville, so I get it. Louisville going out there putting up numbers. Putting up absolute numbers. Shout out to Tyler Shrug for no interceptions. We like it. Receivers are always open. And defensively, you're not going to get a lot of sacks against a team like this. They're always running the ball, doing things. Antonio Carter, Notre Dame transfer, former Rhode Island DB, doing his thing. But, and I like J. Rock Swain too. But at the end of the day, Louisville is dominant as usual, but we still don't know. We still don't know how good they are. We don't. I hope they're good. We just don't know yet. We're going to find out soon enough. One team we know is pretty good is Syracuse. Congratulations to Fran Brown and the way they opened up the season. They're literally way better than people anticipated, and a lot of it has to do with Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord is looking like a top 5 transfer quarterback. Top 5. I got Cam Ward, Kyle McCord. Why did I say top 5? Who else I got? I'm on this Kyle McCord train all day. He's lacing it. And when I watch the tape, so there's some drops. Some of these guys aren't catching everything, man. Kyle McCord looks good. Haynes King and them boys out there, it was who's going to score last type deal. Haynes King is still doing his thing, but he cannot be leading this team in rushing. He can't. They need to figure that out. Wide receivers are good. My goodness, is Aranda Gadsden open. My goodness, is Gadsden open, and LaQuint Allen is going to be that guy that you can rely on for the whole season. Trust. Okay? They just need to figure it out defensively. They got players. They got to make plays. They got to make plays. And this isn't good enough for me. These shootouts like this against Georgia Tech, not good enough for me. But if you go out there and outscore everybody, who cares? And you're winning. Congratulations. Syracuse is going to be, that over is real. That over is going to be real every single week. Clemson. This is crazy, guys. I don't know how to describe this to you guys. I don't know what's going on. But please understand. What Clemson did in this game is thing of legend. They had 500 yards at halftime. They had 500 yards at halftime. The score was 56? 56-13 at the half. I can't think of the last time I've seen destruction like that when App State is such a good team. I can't even remember. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's going to be the running back. I don't know who they're going to use. I still think it's Kanye Roberts. So that's a whole nother conversation for App State. They looked out of sorts. They didn't look ready for this game. And on the flip side, Clemson at home, they look like the team I thought they would be in the preseason. In the preseason, I was convinced Clemson's going to have a good year. And then they go out and look like terrible against Georgia. I guess Georgia's an NFL team. And Clemson's a really good college team. Clemson's great. They looked the part. They did everything right. They ran over people, threw deep passes, 5 touchdowns, 24 for 26. When the hell? Cade Klubnik couldn't do this at practice. That's Hudson Card numbers, man. 24 for 26. It's nuts. True freshman Wesco goes 76 yards. First touchdown. You got a tight end open all the damn time. Like, they're doing whatever they want to do to you. It's nuts. Fumbles everywhere. But this defense came to play. You got a freshman and Sammy Brown leading you in tackles. Sammy Brown's the future. NFL guy, 5-star. Shout out to Jefferson where he played high school. But, yeah, very impressed with Clemson. Very impressed with Clemson. Speaking of impressive, it's impressive for Pittsburgh to get off the mat. They were losing at halftime. They looked like a shell of themselves. I expected Cincinnati to win this game, not handedly, but just win the game. And it was going that way for a while. And then 15 points in the fourth quarter, and we look like we don't know what we're talking about. Then that's what I'm talking about right here. Like, that's gambling. The inconsistency of college football players is real. Brendan Sorsby is him. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards passing. Sorsby is the complete stud I always said he is. Holstein got that dog in him. I made a video about Holstein 2 years ago when I said he should be the starting quarterback at Alabama soon. And he left, and now he's the starter here, and he's playing. Desmond Reed is special. I know I said Desmond Reed was a hidden gem at Pitt, but Desmond Reed is special. I made 3 videos on Desmond Reed before anybody ever saw him. He's so special. My God, he's fast. He can catch the corner everywhere. Little dude. Dynamite. You got to bet his over yards every time. That guy's a beast. Corey Kiner coming through. That's a 1,000-yard rusher doing his thing. Wide receivers at Cincinnati can play. They were open. They were doing the right thing. They just stopped scoring in the second half. Craziest thing in the world. And there's your boy Desmond Reed, 100 yards receiving as well. Desmond Reed is a one-man wrecking crew, man. One-man wrecking crew. Defensively, Donovan McMillan, NFL ready, man. NFL ready. Like everything about him. On the defensive side, Dante Corleone for Cincinnati. Dante Corleone getting back in this game. This is a guy they had to clear medically. Defensive tackle, one of the best defensive tackles I saw on tape. Love everything about him. Derek Canteen, transferred from Virginia Tech. Georgia Southern before that, played high school ball at Evans here in Georgia. Derek Canteen, been a fan of his whole career. Nice to see him out there. 3 passes deflected in 1 game. Playing good. It's good stuff, man. It's a shame somebody had to lose this game. I really think Cincinnati was the better team, and they didn't win. That's the reality of the situation. Congrats to Narduzzi. I know they fired their AD, but Narduzzi found a way to win. Speaking of finding a way to win, you guys, I saw an MVP, and he gambled, and he bet on Auburn, and he was all upset about Auburn, and he was like, how are they losing to Cal? And I just wrote on there on Discord, and I'm like, bro, Cal can score on anyone. Please listen to what I'm saying. They have a great coach. They have an explosive offense. They can score on anyone. And here they are, beating Auburn, a team that people said was going to win 7 and 9 games and all this shit. No, they're not. Auburn is the bottom of the SEC. One of the bottom teams in the SEC. I don't care. So is Cal. Cal's one of the worst teams in the ACC, too. They're 2-0. Because they can score on anybody. Peyton Thorne, 4 interceptions, is a walking turnover. Jarquez Hunter, punked for the ball. Dude's running with the ball, and Teddy Buchanan, is that his name? Buchanan. Yeah, Teddy Buchanan. This guy, and I told you I watched film on him in the offseason. He played at UC Davis. He's a transfer from the FCS. When I watched the film, I guess I should have been paying attention to his gangster. Like he wants to he's a linebacker, bro. He wants to take the ball from you. He rips the ball away from Jarquez Hunter like it's a lunch pail. And he said, give me that shit, bro. Give me your brownies. Give me your brownies. Incredible stuff. Took that dude's brownies in front of him. Jarquez Hunter ain't it, bro. Keep making them sex tapes, dude. You're not real. You're not real, bro. Jaden not 100%. We can tell it doesn't look right. It's unfortunate for him. Kadarius Callaway, the recruiting websites try to tell me he's a great running back, former Alabama running back, but he's a transfer from ODU. Wasn't even great at ODU, and then he transfers over here, and they're like, oh, he's the best running back in the portal. Go look at the rankings. He's way up there. Dude's not it. Not it, bro. Not it. Jonathan Brady, transfer from New Mexico State, one of Diego Pavia's targets. Doing his damn thing. I like it. Jack Andrews, great tight end. Tron Grizzle, too tall to be only getting six yards. Mikey Matthews, too good to only be getting 7 yards. You get more out of these guys. Corey Dykes, transferred from Maryland, too good to be getting it. Like, they still got more production in them. They got more production in them. Cal can be even better. Remember what I'm saying. Cal can be better. Defensively, led by Ted I, bro. Teddy I, look, they didn't play their bench. They played their best 11. They didn't play their bench. They played their best 11. And it was better than Auburn's. Shout out to Auburn. Kendrick Falk was out there doing it. Look at those interceptions. You can't win a game throwing 4 interceptions, bro. You just can't. Oh, yeah, you can. Jake Garcia did it. Oh, my God. He threw 4 interceptions. It's gross. Boston College. I told you guys it was a lock. We put Boston College on the lock chart. Maybe, no, it was a lean. Should have been a lock. It was a lean. Boston College is going to beat Duquesne. Duquesne's just bad. We're going to find out how good Boston College is. The biggest issue I have with Boston College is I'm still trying to figure out how valuable and how impressive was that Florida State win. I'm still not sure. We're going to find out this week. They play Missouri. They play Missouri. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. You got to line up against Missouri and hit them in the mouth, and you're probably going to be trailing, and then you got to throw, and Thomas Castellanos can't throw. And that secondary at Missouri, the bee's knees, bro. The bee's knees. But congratulations, Boston College. You're 2-0, and I think you're in the AP poll. True story. I think I had the AP poll up, and I think I might have minimized it. Told you we had a bad beat here from North Carolina. I don't like a couple things with North Carolina. Number one, you got to get Omarion Hampton the ball in the red zone. Let him do his thing. Please ride him to victory. Please. I don't want to hear about anybody else. That's a great runner. Shout out to Hassan Wilson getting most of the carries for Charlotte, by the way. Love Hassan Wilson, South Carolina kid, friend of the channel, follows me on TikTok. I appreciate him. Wide receivers, they still don't have any. I'm glad they found a way to get my boy Nate McCollum the ball. 1 carry, 37 yards, and a touchdown. I'm glad they finally got him involved, but they got to get Nate McCollum the ball. He's special. That's one of the best players I've seen on tape, so I wish they would do it. Defensively, they're still very good. Defensively, they still have good players. Well, they don't have any defensive stats here? Oh, yeah, they don't have any defensive stats. Good job, ESPN. They don't have the defensive stats. I was just going to tell you, they have really good players on defense. That's why I believe in North Carolina to win like 9 games this year. It's something crazy. I'm on North Carolina to win 9. Yeah, even without a quarterback. Defense. Speaking of defense, Virginia Tech finally decided to show up and stop Stone Earl. Shout out to Marshall for finally choosing a starting quarterback, and then they chose Stone Earl. Dude, Braylon Braxton is better. Is it Braylon Braxton? Yeah. Braylon Braxton, the Tulsa transfer. He's better. They're starting the wrong players. This is how you get fired. This is why coaching staffs get fired. On the other side, shout out to Virginia Tech for realizing they just need to hand the ball off to Bishal Tutton. Let him do his thing. Let him run. 120 yards on 22 carries and a touchdown. Please just do that. I know he fumbled, but just let it go. Like, just don't try to do anything else too fancy. They're still not where I need them to be. I told them they're going to be Saxburg. They're not Saxburg. I need more sacks out of them. And although Stone Earl's a little agile, hard to sack. But punt returns. I think it was Jalen Lane or Ali Jennings. Jalen Lane punt return for a touchdown. Yeah, there it is. 58-yard touchdown. He's good. Former leading receiver at Middle Tennessee State. Dude, does Cal Poly suck. Congratulations, Stanford. You figured it out in the second half after struggling. This is all I know. I told you guys my favorite quarterback is Elijah Brown, Mater Dei's finest. Been starting at Mater Dei for 4 years, starting as a true freshman. When Bryce Young graduated and went to Alabama, the next starting quarterback at Mater Dei was that man right there, Elijah Brown, for 4 years. Coming out of high school last year, they tried to tell me he's only a 4-star. He's not that great. He's only a 4-star. He's not that great. I'm like, dude, that's the best quarterback coming out of high school. Rico, DJ Lagway, so-and-so. I'm like, no, listen to me, man. Elijah Brown is him. And look at him out there. 7 for 7, 97 yards and a touchdown. What a perfect debut. I understand Ashton Daniels is head and shoulders the starter because he's so athletic. He's dual threat and he can do all that. Man, just trust me. By the way, Stanford running. Justin Lamson, another quarterback they use for running. Used to be at Syracuse, the backup quarterback at Syracuse. He's still one of those wildcat dudes that they get. White dude. Couldn't do his thing. They're still trying to figure out their run game. Not impressed with it at all. But receiving? Yeah. They got receivers. They got guys. They got to figure it out. I like a couple of them. Defensively, they're stout. They're stout. They played a scrub team. Congratulations. Next, Virginia, Wake Forest. It's on the chart. I picked it. I said Virginia's going to win this money line. They were underdogs. I didn't believe it. They're going to beat Wake Forest. They got it done. It's still very scary. I'm going to tell you it's very scary. Wake Forest threw for 400 yards. Please figure that the fuck out. But, excuse my language, the thing I would say about Virginia is they actually have a very good wide receiver. Malachi Fields, when I watched the tape on this, holy smokes, he's so good. They got it, man. And I talked about him last week, I think I did. Tyler Neville, I believe that's the Harvard transfer. Chris Tyree, the Notre Dame transfer, just like any Notre Dame transfer. He sucks. He's sucking it up. He's stinking it up pretty bad. But they still don't have a running game whatsoever. Malachi Fields is open. Throw him the ball. Condrea can run around, do his thing. He's actually sneaky athletic. He's a gunslinger, though, man. He's bound to have some turnovers. But he's good. I like that kid. In about 2 years, he'll be really good. It's going to take some time. Wake Forest, on the other hand, your strength is supposed to be your defense. Got to come through in the fourth quarter. Giving up 14 points in the fourth quarter and losing the game is wild. Their offensive line could not handle the pass rush from Virginia, which is really cool to me. The amount of sacks, 6 sacks. 6 sacks is really cool. Seeing Virginia go to work made me look like a prophet coming back to win that. I was so happy. We needed it with the weekend we were having. Okay, so that's the ACC in a nutshell. Here they are for week 3, their games. Memphis at Florida State. That's an MVP level lock. I won't talk about the game and the spread. I'm just going to tell you, Florida State is playing Memphis. Memphis undefeated. Florida State hasn't won a game yet. La Tech, NC State, another MVP level game. Not going to talk about it. Congratulations. Missouri, Boston College, another MVP level game. Not going to talk about it. If you want, when I say MVP level, all you got to do, hit join on the channel. You'll see videos of me breaking this stuff down. I've already posted 2 videos on this week's games. Week 3, I have a week 3 early video and a week 3 update video. That came out today. Both of those videos have been posted. They're about half an hour each, and I talk about all the MVP level locks, all the MVP level plays. If you want to know who's winning, you want to bet it, figure that out, win your money, that's what we do. Shout out to my MVPs. Guys, we're not playing. We're printing money. It's what we do. Miami Ball State, another lock. Not going to talk about it. Here we are. VMI and Georgia Tech. Don't know what the line is, don't know what the spread is, but it's got to be huge, and you got to believe in Georgia Tech. VMI's just been walked through. Georgia Tech. They're obviously going to win the game, but I'm talking about the spread. West Virginia Pitt. This is not on the chart, other than me trying to guess who the winner is. I think West Virginia is the better team. I understand it's a rivalry game. Is this the backyard brawl? Yes. This is going to be a problem. West Virginia Pitt is going to be tough. It's in Pitt tough type deal. But I really like West Virginia in this matchup. They're a better team. If they don't win, Neil Brown is doing less with more. He has the better team. They should figure that out. The running games are going to be. The over is really intriguing to me in this game, and it's 60.5. That over is crazy. 60.5. It's probably there. I got to think about that. Yeah, I believe in the over. I do. I just believe in the spread. West Virginia wins by 7. UConn Duke. It's not on the chart, so I can talk about it. UConn bouncing back from looking absolutely terrible in week 1 against Maryland, and then they come out and they beat Merrimack by like 70. Here's what I'll say. I think Merrimack might be one of the worst teams in America because we know Maryland's not very good. Merrimack might be the worst team in the FCS. Because we know Maryland's not very good. They just lost to Michigan State. So UConn, there's levels to this. UConn goes out and blows out Merrimack. Merrimack also lost to Air Force in week 1. It was a little closer to the score, but I just watched Air Force lose to San Jose State. So I'm doing like what I call MMA math. I'm doing college football math, and I'm going Merrimack sucks. Really bad. So that means UConn's win isn't that impressive, but obviously I was big on UConn's transfer portal additions this offseason, so it's all good. But I would probably think Duke can win this game. Now, you got to pay attention to the weather because that spread is 16.5 with weather like this. Watching the way Duke does their thing, Duke's strength is their passing attack. Can you throw in the rain? Double check the weather. This 47.5 doesn't feel real. I don't trust UConn. I still got to learn about them. I don't trust their defense. After what they gave up to Maryland, I don't trust them. I would just leave it alone. Learn about both these teams. I haven't seen a line for this game. I'm curious what it is. I still believe in North Carolina. I really do. Amari Hampton can't be stopped. Playing an FCS opponent, and it's not FCS. It's one of these HBCUs. You can just walk right through them dudes. Terrible teams. Terrible. They're the bottom of the FCS. Terrible. Virginia Tech, Old Dominion. And in the preseason, I would have told you Virginia Tech's winning this game by 30 points. I got to believe in this spread, and I got to believe Virginia Tech can cover this. This isn't on the chart. It should be. You guys just got a freebie. Hold up. Let me pull up the chart. I can't let you guys see the chart, so I got to pull it off screen. But I got to make a note. Virginia Tech. I gotta add it to the chart. There's just nothing I just can't ignore that. I know how bad Old Dominion is. Virginia Tech. Give me that. -14. think it's a lock. Sorry about that. Usually don't let you guys see the sausage being made during the show, but it is what it is. I really believe in that one. All right, Ole Miss Wake Forest, it's an MVP level lock. Won't talk about it. Maryland, Virginia. I think we're going to learn about these two teams. According to my talent chart, I'm not very high on Maryland this year. But you got to believe in this over. You got to believe in this over. Holy smokes. You got to believe in the over. I'm on 60 on that. That over is real. That'd probably be on the chart. Oh my goodness. And then California, San Diego State. Games being played at Cal Berkeley. You're at home against San Diego State, who we just saw not be very good. I think Cal's better than them by 3 touchdowns. I really do. I think Cal covers that spread. I do. All right, before we get into Conference USA, I'm going to move over to the chat. Thank you guys for being here. Questions, comments, concerns, put it in the chat. Let's go. I will be interacting with you guys. Ask me any question you want about these two conferences, please. And I'm interacting with the chat. There's not enough to scroll? Perfect. Tell me that. That's so cool. X20 Tennessee says, my king. Bro, we don't use verbiage like that. My king? King ain't it, bro. King ain't it. Real Sports History says, amazing straight up those dog calls. Thank you so much, Real Sports History. People don't understand how hard that is. Just picking straight up underdogs and getting it right, money line. That's bananas. 80% on a week is really good. Even when you're missing all your locks, it felt really good to get those right. Armin, Armin's an MVP for the year. Armin is an annual MVP. I appreciate Armin completely. He says, Rico, good to see you, Rico. I ate good with that Texas 5-unit bet and didn't touch another game. That's an experienced MVP. That's an experienced MVP. That man is an annual MVP. He ain't worried about every single bet on the card. He ain't worried about the whole thing. I told him, hey, Texas is beating Michigan. Sit back and watch the destruction. Now, a lot of people will come back and go, Rico, everybody knew Texas was going to win, blah, blah, blah. Then why didn't you bet it? Then why didn't you bet it 5 units? Why didn't you go heavy? We went heavy. We talked about it. It is what it is. Why didn't you bet it, bro? Anthony Raimundo Barron says, good evening, Rico. Good evening, Anthony. Good evening, man. It's good to see you. Fear Metro, Rico, what's good? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Moore says, do you think Florida State should switch to Brock Glenn? No. I think if they're not switching to Brock Glenn, they see him at practice every day. They know he's not good. And at the same time, it's kind of like the NFL now. And I don't mean to be rude, but the NFL starts players based on their financial commitment to those players. Very rarely will you see a starter making less money than the backup. In other words, the owner will say, hey, if we're paying this guy this much money, he better be on the field earning us that money. Now, sometimes he sucks. I always use the example, Ezekiel Elliott was the starting running back for the Cowboys for like 2 years. And the backup was Tony Pollard. And everybody knew Tony Pollard was better. But they kept every single game, Ezekiel Elliott gets the start. And then when they sub him out, Pollard goes ham. It's happened. And you got to get the owner's permission to start the backup. Because we put so much money into the start. That's why I hate the NFL. So in college, they got a financial commitment to DJ Uiagalelei. And I think they're going to let him play every time. But man, does he suck. Maybe he looks really good at practice. Maybe practice is good. But in the games, he ain't it, bro. I ain't like that at all. I don't believe in him like that. Raimundo says, Rico, do you think loading up on transfers is a viable option, or is it a mixture of both transfer and regular recruiting? I think it's situational. I think it's situational. If you're near perfection, if you have a good team and you're returning a lot of productivity, you can find transfers to plug and address your shortcomings. I'll give you a prime example of that. Last year, Michigan had an elite team returning, and they still found transfers to contribute on the defense and offensive side of the ball. right? So they had Stewart come in. They had the linebacker from Nebraska come in. They had an offensive lineman come in from Stanford. They had a number of players come in the transfer portal. So you still need your nucleus to be players that you have continuity with, that you've been developing, that have been with the offensive coordinator for 2 or 3 years. You want players like that, or else you won't win. You just won't. You need to all be lock in step. The continuity needs to be between the head coach, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, and the starting quarterback. Those are the 4. I've talked about this. There's a study on this. You need 3 out of those 4 returning from the previous year in order to win the national title. So pay attention to who wins national titles and then go and check. Sure enough, that whoever wins the national title this year will have a returning quarterback that was starting the year before. Will have a returning offensive coordinator that was there the year before. A returning defense coordinator that was there the year before, and a head coach that's been entrenched at that position for at least 2 years. So they're going to have 3 out of those 4. You can be a really good team. You won't. If you only have 2 out of those 4, you're not even going to win the national title. And this is over the last, I think, 30 years. I did the study on this. 30 years. It's only happened like 4 times. You had Jameis Winston in his first year as a starter, and then you had 3 other times, freak accidents. It happened. Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, and then 2 other times out of like 30 years. It's happened 4 times. You need to find the greatest quarterback of all time twice. Like, that's just not real. So it might be the LSU as well. So, but still, 3 out of 4 is good enough. 2 out of 4 is not good enough. So that being said, you still can use the transfer portal to revitalize your football program. Florida State did it immensely. Florida State went from being a non-10-win team to winning over 10 games back-to-back years because of the transfer portal. Every significant starter at Florida State last year was a transfer. Every significant starter was a transfer. The problem is you have to find transfers, and you have to get lucky. You have to find transfers that were incorrectly evaluated, or you have to find them that people gave up on. I'll give you an example. Benson, the running back for Florida State last year. Benson was actually at Oregon, and then he had a knee injury, and doctors said he'll never be cleared to play. And that's why Oregon gave up on him. But then he got cleared to play, and now he becomes a star running back at Florida State. Keon Coleman transfers in. He's amazing. Keon Coleman transfers in. He's an amazing wide receiver. Jared Verse from the FCS. Amazing. Fisk at defensive tackle. Amazing. You find the right players, you're going to look good, and you're going to do the part. The problem is Florida State got a bunch of transfers that were backups. Williams and Toafili, these guys are backup running backs. The receivers they signed, Benson, backup wide receiver, 4th, 5th string. You're not getting starters. You're not getting studs. You're getting guys losing their starting positions at their previous schools. Jalen Lucas, it's like the 5th running back out of Florida State or out of Indiana, and everybody's like, well, he's the weapon at Florida State, and now he's injured for the rest of the year. There's an injury update. Jalen Lucas done for the year. So it's just the thing is I think new head coaches and new offensive coordinators, defense coordinators, they can spark interest in the program and reinvigorate it. That's what Indiana's doing. That's what Syracuse is doing. That's what JMU did. That's what Pitt offense did. Pitt offense is Desmond Reed coming in, Eli Holstein. These are all transfers excited to play for a new offensive coordinator, right? So when you see stuff like that, it's there, but you still have to develop your players. When you lose players to the NFL draft, you better hope the players you lost were developed players by your staff. The reason I know Florida State's in trouble, and they won't be any good, is because Norvell had a chance to recruit quarterbacks out of high school. And 3 of them hit the portal, and they were the high school recruits. They were high school recruits that you evaluated out of high school. You recruited them, and they all had to hit the portal. You missed on every single one of them. None of them can play for you. And now one's at San Diego State, one's at Nevada, one's at Southern Miss. That doesn't even sound like Power 4 transfers. You missed so bad, they can't even go to Power 4 schools. So your evaluation of the quarterback position is actually wrong, and you're not doing it right. So now you say Brock Glenn, and now you say that they gave this other kid 5 stars out of Georgia. I watched the tape. I watched him actually play his whole career. It's pathetic when these coaching staffs are missing. It's like a GM missing on a quarterback. It's like a GM missing on a quarterback. Right? When you're in the NFL and you draft a quarterback in the first round and you miss on it, what happens to that general manager and that head coach? They get associated with that miss and they get fired. Carson Wentz got somebody fired. RG3 got somebody fired. So many different quarterbacks that when you miss on a quarterback, you get somebody fired. Unless you're Trey Lance. You get somebody fired when you miss on a quarterback. So when you look at a college coach like Dabo Swinney, and his 5-star quarterback that he recruited and signed out of all the 5 stars that year was Cade Klubnik, was DJ Uiagalelei. He missed twice back to back. It usually gets you fired. And that's why the results, and everybody's going, oh, Clemson's not any good. They need to use the transfer portal. There's no players in the transfer portal really better than the Clemson players. The only thing they did wrong is they picked the wrong quarterbacks. They evaluated the wrong quarterbacks, and that's why they look the way they do. And it'll set you back 5 years. And they got to find a 5-star to come to that school, and they got to get it right, get the right 5-star. And no longer do you recruit based upon your winning pedigree. You just got to have money, bro. Why did DJ Lagway end up at Florida? He's got to have money. But yes, you can use the transfer portal. When you're a new coach at a new school, you get a pill. But transfers want to go where they're going to get playing time or money. Those are the two options right there, playing time or money. There's other options. They want to return home, they're homesick, whatever. But the reality, or they're following the coach. But playing time or money. So when you see a starter in the transfer portal, you got to get them, and you got to pick the right one. Just saying. Thank you for the question, though. Let me go back up. Hearing you give a team's punter props always got me dead. Hey, Kairos, my hidden gem for Colorado was their punter. How about that? Also, why does Kyle seem more proficient at Syracuse versus the Ohio State? Is it the system? Oh, no, it's not the system. I mean, it's the opposition. I think Kyle McCord was great at Ohio State. I think he was just fine at Ohio State. You have Ohio State fans, when they don't beat Michigan, they just start pointing fingers. Somebody's got to be the scapegoat for it. They're going to want to fire Ryan Day if they lose a game. They're just the worst. They don't understand. They had a really good quarterback on their team, and they ran him out of town, and they didn't get an improvement. They did not improve at quarterback. Ohio State did not. They're a better team, but they didn't improve at quarterback. And the opposition they're facing are worse. So they're going to win all their games and say, oh, we did it, and we won because we got rid of Kyle McCord. No, you idiots. That was not the problem. Not the problem. Ashton Hampton, underrated. Fair. Jonathan Brady beats Auburn again. Yes. He beat the hell out of Auburn last year while he was the starting receiver at New Mexico State, and he beat him again with Cal. That dude's walking around saying, when do we play Auburn again? Rico, you really do know your job. Thank you, Gary Clark. You know players and do your job well. Thank you so much. I try, man. It's my job. I hope I do it well. I'm not hanging out. I'm working 20 hours a day. I look a little disheveled. I'm tired. I hit the gym hard every day. And then once I'm done with the gym, we put in 2 hours at the gym. And then I get to grinding and I get to work. I don't run any errands. I don't hang out and watch TV. I don't have any other hobbies. I work 20 hours a day. Yep. I don't even take time to spend my money. You just work, bro. Every day, 7 days a week. 7 days a week. I don't care. I've never worked a day in my life because I love it. Never worked a day in my life because I love it. But it's not easy. Thank you so much. You can't fake what I'm doing here. I'm talking for 2-3 hours a day about players, and then you got to know them, name them, talk about it, and you can't fake this. Nah. Can't Google everything while people are talking. Hey, Rico, somebody said Rico just Googles everything. Okay, buddy. Google looks for me. Just saying. Copious Highlight says Texas was free last week and Memphis will be the same this week. Fingers crossed, man. Don't come in here talking MVP locks though. We don't do that. Don't talk MVP plays at all. But congratulations, Copious. Gary Clark says MVP really listening to you and we will get that bag. I hope so. Get that bag, bro. Jay Ralston says, do you think last week was a one-time thing for Clemson? Well, it was the first time in the history of football that happened. 500 yards in the first half. Clemson's never done that. I'm sure that was a school record. So do I think it was a one-time thing? Yes. Yes, I do. It's never happened before. LaWayne Harris says transfer portal has so many benefits to improve the football program. That's 100%. And I don't want to beat that dead horse. I've gone on that tangent many times in past videos. You don't have to sit around and wait anymore to make your team good. It doesn't take years upon years of recruiting and to marginally get better. You can just go out to the transfer portal and pick your people. Now, you still have to train and develop those players. You still have to get the most out of them and pick the right ones. You're evaluating and recruiting players based on a couple phone calls, a couple messages, some huddle tape and highlights. It can be difficult to get it right. You might be bringing in a cancer. But that's why I believe in the winter transfer portal cycle hugely. Get them guys in there, get them in your spring, and you can still cut them losers come the exit meetings in the spring. For sure. Thoughts on Grayson McCall? Why does he look lost out there, even against an FCS team like Western Carolina? So, X20 Tennessee, he looked dominant against Western Carolina. Then he played Tennessee, who had a great pass rush and a great answer for him and a great game. I don't think there's any issue. I've seen Grayson McCall play football for 4 years. There's no way you question Grayson McCall after a bad game like that. No, you don't do that. Grayson McCall, the team lost the game, bro. Grayson McCall doesn't play defense. He can't catch the passes. He can't run the ball or block. No, it's a team loss. It's not Grayson McCall. That's what I'm talking about right there. When a team loses, you guys go out there and got to blame somebody. So you're going to blame Grayson McCall? A guy who's thrown for over 11,000 yards in his career? Not a chance in hell I will blame Grayson McCall. No. Ridiculous. I hope Florida State goes the youth movement more. Congratulations if you think that's the case. I don't think it is. I don't think Florida State can go the youth movement. Youth movement means they would have to start the players they're recruiting, and I think they're missing on a lot of their recruits. I think they're missing on recruiting like crazy. Where's Sam McCall right now? Where's Sam McCall? He was supposed to be, him and Travis Hunter were supposed to be a package deal coming out of high school. Where's he at now? He transferred, right, to Texas A&M. They just miss on so many recruits. They're doing something wrong in the evaluation of high school players. I don't think they're committed to it. I think it's going to be a rough couple of years for Florida State. Real talk. Willie Bobo says, Rico, I don't have a sport. Word? Okay. It's like that one running back New Mexico State got from Oklahoma, got into some crime, I think, so he went to New Mexico State and MSU. Yeah, I mean, people get into trouble. People go and go where they can get another opportunity. I've already told you guys, I think college coaches are arrogant. They see a troubled kid and they go, oh, I can fix him. Oh, we got the right environment. We care about him. We got him. And they play that fatherly love shit. But all it is just audacity and arrogance. You think that other coaching staff didn't try to fix that player? You think that other coaching staff wasn't fatherly and gave them a warm environment and try to help them better? Help them be better and make them more conducive to being successful? Like, I don't understand the mindset of some of these guys. When you see a troubled player, you have to identify that player has verified character concerns. Don't bring that motherfucker in this locker room. And they still bring him. They don't care. And they wonder why they're losing their jobs. I'm going to be around a lot longer than these college football coaches. I'm not losing my job. I'm not losing my standard of living. They're going to lose theirs. That's the reality of the situation. People always say, oh, Rico, do you think you know so much? You're on TikTok. You're on YouTube. You're on Patreon. You think you know so much? Yeah, bro. You ever seen somebody do what I'm doing? I'm a 1%er. You ain't never seen somebody do this shit right here. Bro, you're listening to me talk sports, and my kitchen's in my background. I ain't in the studio. I ain't in a suit. My kitchen's in my background. You're listening to me. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. Them dudes will all be unemployed real soon. Willie Bobo says, but that new grill is legit. We got a new grill. Shout out to me. You guys know this. I'm not a big spender. I'm a minimalist. I don't have a lot of excess stuff. I don't like to spend money at all. Real talk, when Kim met me, I had 4 plates to my name. I think 4 cups. And all that was just because I used to have my father living with me, and he needed 2 plates and I needed 2 plates. I had 2 pots and pans, and that was it. I don't have anything extra. I had 2 pairs of shoes. I don't buy extra stuff. I've never had a watch in my life, a chain, a pair of shades, a hat. Like, I don't buy nothing like that. All that stuff. If you stop impulse shopping, you'll be so much better in life, guys. Just stop impulse shopping. Stop buying all the newest stuff. I had corded headphones for the last 14 years. The same pair. Just stop impulse shopping. You'll be so wealthy. Hey, Rico's a tightwad. He's a cheapskate. He's a fruit. Call me what you want, motherfucker. Call me what you want. I'll never have to work for the rest of my life. Because I just did that. I just sat around and just going, I have a method. If I can't afford 2 of them, I can't buy 1 of them. If I can't afford 2 of them, I can't buy 1. That could be a new TV. If you don't have enough money to buy 2 new TVs, then you can't buy 1. Just use that method at all times. Just all the time. If you got $20 in your pocket, take it out and don't put it in your pocket. Don't walk around with cash. See what happens. Just pack of gum. I can't remember the last time I bought a pack of gum. Not in my adult life. I ain't buying packs of gum. I don't buy anything I don't need. And need versus want, I've learned the art of need versus want. Like, big time. But I'll tell you this. When it was time to buy a brand new Camry or a new car, I used to have a Toyota Tundra. Big ass trick. When it was time to buy a new car, I bought my Camry. Cash. I ain't making no payments on nothing. Can you imagine the discipline it takes to save that? But I didn't buy it unless I could afford 2 of them. Motherfucker. Like, I'm telling you guys, I'm on a different level. That's just the way I get down. So please, you got to know how excited I am when I bought a new grill. That's what Willie Bobo's talking about. I bought a new grill. It's a big deal to me. Kim got all the different parts to it. We ain't half-assing it. We didn't just get a new grill. She got all the new little contraptions and everything to it. More power to her. And she's been cooking every meal on that joint, and they taste delicious. I'm so excited. Shout out to Kim. When I grow up, I want to be just like Rico knows. Shout out to you, man. I wish you luck. I wish you luck. Dwayne Harris says, yeah, I might join MVP. Week 3 college schedule. College props will be a moneymaker. Well, good luck, man, and make sure you pick the right stuff. It's a menu. It's a menu. The chart is a menu. All you got to do is pick the stuff that tastes good. Don't pick the shitty appetizer. Don't pick the world's worst stuff. Don't be coming to my restaurant. I serve burgers, bro. Don't be picking the stir fry. That shit is gross. I'm just letting you know. No, I'm just saying Memphis is a team I've been high on since last year, especially after watching their defense and run game look so good. So Memphis is one of the best group of 5 teams, the very best group of 5 team according to me, talent-wise, and I've been extremely high on Memphis for about 2 years now. If you're an MVP, you know this. I told you they were going to beat Iowa State in the bowl game, and we bet heavy on them and won all of our money. We won a ton of money that bowl game. We bet all the props, took all the receivers overs, took everything. I just knew that they were going to do their thing, and they did it immensely well. And then this season, a lot of people know about them and talk about them. I kind of hold it near and dear to my heart. I don't like that people are talking about them because I was the first one. And I'm kind of territorial about it. I was the first one. I'm a Seth Hennigan lover all day. Demir Blankenship, Rock Taylor, the whole team. I'm upset. I heard Sutton Smith is down and injured, I think, for the rest of the year. And that's a good young player. I've known him since high school. I've been watching him when he played here in Georgia at Walton. I'm a big fan of Memphis as a whole. So, yeah, I'm excited for them as well. Colorado versus Nebraska really showed the better second-year coach who is serious about the program. Yeah, Dwayne Harris, that's cool and everything, but they are not in the ACC or Conference USA, so we're not talking about them. I know that's kind of hypocritical because I just talked about Memphis, but we're not talking about that. That's Big 12. That's Wednesday. Georgia State, I'm going to talk about Georgia State when it's time. Loved all the great excitement and enthusiasm you bring, Rico. Kudos. Thank you, Jared Bush. Thank you, man. I see your comments on Patreon. I appreciate you. I know certain MVPs by name. You guys should really feel good about yourselves. That's a great way to do it. Very smart idea. Thank you, Gary Clark. That's how I go through life, brother. That's how I go through life. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. Week 2 was a delicious buffet of joy. If you picked the right shit, you were eating pretty good. All right, let me get into Conference USA, then we'll get back to the chat. I appreciate you guys. Excuse me. Keep putting your comments, concerns in the chat, and I'll get to it when I can. But we're going to go over Conference USA. So, Middle Tennessee looked absolutely terrible against Ole Miss. Put up 3 points. It wasn't good. Let me go to the box score here. Nick V, the senior quarterback, throwing 33 times for only 200 yards. Not good enough. We know he can't play. It's fucking Ole Miss, bro. Ole Miss is a problem. Still trying to find your running backs. Jaden Creedle played at Carver here in Georgia. Good running back. I like that young man. Obviously nowhere to run. Your offensive line's overwhelmed. But I like Jaden Creedle. He's a transfer from, I think, from Northern Illinois. Good player. Like him. Like him. Holden Willis, very best, one of the very best tight ends in America. No surprise that he's still got 93 yards on Ole Miss. Remember that when you're betting overs or props. Holden Willis is him. But you really can't mess with what Ole Miss was doing. MTSU just overwhelmed and never really stood a chance. I think they're going to be in for a long season. Some people think they're one of the better teams in the Conference USA. I don't at all. Next game, I already talked about it. Jacksonville State, really struggling defensively. A lot of this has to do with their best three defensive players hit the transfer portal and are now at bigger schools. One of them is at Ole Miss, by the way. Chris Hardy, amazing, number 91. But they're offensively trying to figure it out. Thank God they're playing Tyler Huff and not Logan Smothers. Logan Smothers is not a college player, not an FBS caliber player. I don't know what he is, but he's just not those things. And Tyler Huff is tough coming out here and doing his stuff, running for 101 yards. Good stuff. You can't just have your quarterback be the only rusher, though. Where's all those running backs? Where's Andrew Paul, the Georgia transfer? Like, you're supposed to do stuff. Now it is Louisville. I get it. Come on, Rich Rod. Make me proud. FIU. I'm a mother flipping prophet. I'm a prophet. I told you guys, FIU has the best defense in Conference USA. If you watched the Week 0 episode, I was talking about FIU's defense and how it was the best in Conference USA. Better than Liberty. Better than anybody. I like FIU's defense a lot. I told you. I made so many posts about it on Twitter. I have videos on this. Please. FIU's defense is real. They go out there and get 5 interceptions against Joe Labus, the Iowa transfer who really sucks. You finally get benched, but not benched soon enough. Central Michigan, after winning by a blowout in the previous week, you come out here and you get blown to bits. And you make Keontae Jenkins look like a comparable quarterback. Like, he looked good. Capable quarterback? Comparable? Not comparable. Capable. Competent. A competent quarterback, and hopefully that carries over. But what's going to carry over is this defense, man. This defense is great. JoJo Evans coming back after taking a year off. Hezekiah Masses. I talked about every single one of these dudes all offseason. I made a video about FIU's defense. Brian Blades II, shout out to his dad and his uncles, if they're still alive. JoJo Evans getting a pick. Jamal Potts getting a pick. Like, I love everything about this team. Their defense gets me excited. The offense is something we can't really rely upon. But returning running backs, both leading rushers coming back from last year, they have some continuity there, man. FIU putting in work on the MAC. I like FIU's defense so much. Shout out to me. If you guys don't believe me, check this out. There it is, Conference USA. There's the rankings over there. This was preseason. Me evaluating talent. Excuse me, somebody's writing to me on the Discord server. I don't need that crap. Stop posting. Stop fucking tagging me. And there it is. Defense right here. Defensive total, 56. FIU, number 1 in the whole conference. Really, really like FIU, and I was proud of seeing them do their thing to Central Michigan. Next, Hilltoppers. Come back, and they looked the part, right? They looked the part, but be careful. TJ Finley played good. Finally doing his thing. I understand they just got blown up by Alabama. They got to be a little better. I still don't like Elijah Young. I'm watching the tape, and I was watching it Sunday. He just looks so slow. He looks so slow to me. I can't get behind it. I just think he's slow. I don't know how else to describe it. And on the flip side, how can you not stop ECU from getting almost 2 100-yard rushers? Come on, you are Western Kentucky, and you're letting Eastern Kentucky get almost 200-yard rushes on you, bro. Bananas. Now, they lost their leading receiver last year. He transferred over to UTEP. That's a problem. So they don't have any real receivers or passing game. And Western Kentucky, they should have all the passing in the world. Shout out to Tyson Helton, their head coach. Nonetheless, congratulations, Hilltoppers. You got it done, 31-0. I'll keep an eye and keep learning about them, doing their thing. Raging Cajun. I'm high on the Raging Cajun this year. If they can get their offense figured out, ride Ben Woolridge. Ride Ben Woolridge. You will be good. He's a good quarterback. Good running backs came to play. Defensively, they're pretty good. They shut down this rushing attack from Kennesaw State, which is what they're known for. Shut down their running game, and they have really good players. I like this team a lot. I'm pulling for this team to be pretty good this year. Louisiana, good defense. I didn't see any weak points. I think when I evaluated them, I gave them straight 6s. And what you guys got to understand is 6, I've told you guys this before, 6 is equivalent to a first team group of 5 player or position group, if you will. So if you're getting a 6 on defense in every single position group and you're the Raging Cajun, that means I think you're first team all conference. I think you're really good players. And that's how I feel about the Raging Cajun defense. They're really good. Yep, believe it. I think they're going to cover some spreads. UCF, speaking of really good, goes out there, picks off Hunter Watson. Now we get to see Jace Bauer come in the game. That's the Central Michigan transfer. I hope he gets to play more. Jace Bauer is a gamer, man. He can run a little bit. He's not here. Jay Ducker, the Memphis transfer, pretty good player. John Gentry, North Shore, Utah State transfer from 2 years ago. Not bad. So they're going out there trying to find guys, but there was no chance they were going to be competitive with UCF. UCF didn't even throw the ball that much. They just ran it. R.J. Harvey, do your thing. Penny Boone, do your thing. Kept it simple, vanilla. Didn't show much. Getting Miles Montgomery some carries at the Cincinnati transfer. Like the kid a lot. They just out there running, having a good time. 384 yards rushing. UCF. They're really good. I don't know if their receivers are ever going to get incorporated in these games. If you're trying to bet on them, Xavier Townsend's still a stud. They're just not using him as much as they should. And Kobe Hudson is a problem. Like those are alpha males right there. So we'll see what happens. But defensively, Zaire Alexander proving me wrong. I didn't think he was going to play great. He led them in tackles in the game. This is your stud right here. Nigelette Kelly, transfer from Miami. Pretty good player. Yeah, they got studs. Look like a good team. Look deep. Sheldon Arnold, interception. ETSU, FCS transfer, safety. Not bad. Not bad. We'll see what happens. UCF, looking pretty good 2 games in a row now. I understand it's Sam Houston. I know. But this is supposed to be Conference USA. Oh, my bad. Let me talk about Sam Houston. My bad. I'm tripping, bro. I think Jace Bauer is going to be their future at quarterback. I know he's a starter and he can do the damn thing. I think Jace Bauer is going to be their future at quarterback. Pay attention and see what happens. We don't bet on Sam Houston, by the way. That's a whole nother story. Speaking of not betting, UTEP's off the betting list from here on out. Losing to an FCS opponent in overtime is completely and utterly ridiculous, especially at home, after the head coach of Southern Utah talked shit on the radio. He talked shit about them. He said they ain't nothing. We ain't worried about it. And this is a team that lost 49-0 to Utah the week before. They were still talking that shit. He knew he was going to win, which is crazy. Crazy. They come out there and run the ball all over them. 20 carries, 183 yards. Who the hell is Lamson? Whoever he is, he let him have it. And Javon Jackson is an FCS All-American, and he's doing his thing. Now, I want to say this. There's Jaden Smith. That's the wide receiver that transferred from East Kentucky to UTEP, by the way. Shout out to Jaden Smith. Played at Grayson High School, I believe. Grayson? Marietta. Ooh. I think Marietta. Anyways, Skylar Locklear was the backup quarterback at Austin Peay last year. And he showed up. He wasn't supposed to be starting this year. But they got to start him because the guy that they inherited, that California kid, sucks. And I don't even know if he's healthy. But Skylar Locklear, he's a little crafty, bro. I'm watching the tape on this. I watched it. I live streamed it. I watched it live. I think I told the MVPs I was going to bed. I watched it in bed. I say, whenever I tell you guys I'm going to bed, I just go lay down in my bed and keep watching. So I watched this game, and I got to tell you that Locklear's got a little game to him. So it's somebody that we're going to believe in moving forward. They even called a lot of design runs for him. So just keep an eye on that when we look at rushing props later. These two guys should get rushing yards, but I'm going to slow down on my belief that UTEP's ready this season. This one stings. After getting blown out by Nebraska, which isn't a terrible loss, this is a terrible loss. And it was a lock, and I missed it. It was a lock, and I missed. They were 6.5-point favorites. Liberty, speaking of looking terrible, I already told you Liberty's not the same team as last year. I don't think they're very good. and they're proving it. They had to have a damn miracle and score 21 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win this game. They had no chance. They just don't look the part. Caden Salter's not him. The offensive line isn't great. Wide receivers aren't great. It's just not the same team. I'm not impressed by this. Not the same team. Congratulations, Quentin Cooley got it done. I don't even think New Mexico State's very good. Parker Awad, a JUCO transfer, not very good. Mike Washington is very good. I like Mike Washington. I hope he starts getting more carries. Seth McGowan, a good running back. These are both good running backs. Monty Watkins, good. These are good guys. They got a good running back room. Monty Watkins is fast, by the way. Speed demon. Speed fast. Like, he just pops games open from time to time. You'll see shit like this all the time. You'll be like, man, why don't they give him the ball anymore? He just breaks free every now and then. Little guy. Fast. Fast. He shouldn't be at New Mexico State. I don't know why he's there. Something happened. Character, grade, something. Got him over there. But yeah, Liberty found a way to win because that's what winning programs do. Jamie Chadwell's going to do that for you, but I don't think they're very good this year. I don't. But neither is most of Conference USA, so they'll keep winning. All right, next week's games. Not talking about an MVP level lock. MVP level lock. Obviously, Liberty should win this game. 23.5 point favorite. I think this is on the board. I think this is on the chart. I'm going to just give it away for free. I think Liberty's covering that spread against UTEP. UTEP looks really bad. I think Liberty gets it done and covers that spread. EMU, Jacksonville State, I believe it's on the board. I believe it's on the chart, so I can't talk about it. MVP level lock. San Jose State, Kennesaw State, MVP level lock. This is crazy. All these are locks. Okay, this is not a lock. Western Kentucky against Middle Tennessee. Knee-jerk reaction, Western Kentucky's a better team. Better than 7.5 points. I think Western Kentucky can cover that spread. Knee-jerk reaction. Sam Houston and Hawaii, I have absolutely no clue. I don't. And I think Sam Houston might be the better team. We never bet on Sam Houston. I would take Sam Houston to cover the spread. Hawaii's disappointing. Leave it at that. I don't think Sam Houston can cover Ashlock, though. Ashlock's going to be open every single play. And that's an MVP level lock. So a lot of MVP level locks, not stuff to talk about on the show. Oh, this is the AP poll I wanted to talk about. And the only thing I really wanted to say is you have to stop ranking teams based upon perception, and you have to start ranking them on reality. Oregon has not played like a top 10 team at all this year. Not 1 week, not one time. Nothing they've done on the field warrants a top 10 ranking, and teams like Miami and USC definitely have looked top 10 this year. They've looked that dominant. To see USC shut out Utah State 45-0, beat LSU, those are impressive. To see Oregon squeak by Idaho and Boise State, that is not impressive to me. There should not be a top 10 team. Oregon should be somewhere down here. They're just ranking them up here based on preseason bullshit and a talent assessment from the recruiting websites. If we're talking about what's actually happening on Saturdays, Miami and USC are getting severely disrespected. What you saw from Penn State against Bowling Green, that hasn't happened by these two teams. They should be ranked ahead of Penn State as well. Yep. That's just the way it is. So I'm a little perplexed by some of these rankings and the way they're doing things, because some of these teams don't look good and they're still getting ranked. Shout out to whoever gave. Remember Colorado got a vote last week? What bums. All right, back to the chart. The chat one last time, and then we'll end the show. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I really appreciate you guys. You guys make my life possible. The chat's usually short after the Conference USA stuff, so here we are. Let's see what we got. Week 2 delicious buffet. I think the 2023 and 2024 classes FSU signed can have good hit rates on them, but the 2020 to 2022 class were bad evaluations. Yeah, more. I mean, you can say what you want, but you're just, it's a fandom. It's just opinion. Nothing you said about, nothing with that is coming to fruition. I'll give you an example. I want you to go look at Florida State and look at their 2 deep. Look at their starters and their backups. 2 deep. And then go look at Miami's and check to see how many of Miami's players come from the 2023-2024 class in the 2 deep compared to Florida State. And Miami's far better team. Do that with any team you want. You're not going to see a lot of 2022, 2023. You're not going to see it. Not at Florida State. And it's not because they're so much better. I was responding to you with Sam McCall question. He's at Georgia State now. Oh, okay, thank you, Moore. Appreciate that. Rico, why does Kentucky suck? You told us they were good. Martin, no, I did not. What? The things you guys say are insane, bro. I told you verbatim, Kentucky's defense is talented. Is a talent evaluation by position group. It is a talent evaluation by position group, is what I told you. That has nothing to do with coaching, matchups, weather, injuries, usage, scheme, nothing. I'm talking about evaluating players individually and their talent. You then go and say, you told us Kentucky's good. No, I didn't. I told you the individual position groups at Kentucky were good. Let me give you an example. USC, last year, how bad was their defense? How bad is their defense? Last year. Utterly terrible. Their defensive coordinator gets fired in Grinch. They hire a new defensive coordinator in Dan Lynn. They hire a new linebackers coach. They look amazing this year. But last year and the year before, NFL teams were still drafting USC defenders. LSU's defense is terrible. They're still going to draft LSU defenders. When I look at LSU's defenders, talent-wise, they're some of the best in America. You can't start over those guys. It's why they're not improving with the transfer portal. There's no better players to get. It's coaching. When I do an evaluation of talent on individual teams, coaching is not part of the metric. I do not apply coaching to the talent evaluation. If I did, then I would just be evaluating the most production-heavy teams. I'll give you an example. You might think the wide receivers at Memphis are really good because Memphis throws the ball for 3,000 yards. But not a single wide receiver at Memphis can start at Miami because of the talent. There's a talent discrepancy there. You might see a 1,000-yard receiver transfer and get no playing time at the next school because there's a talent discrepancy there. So it's not always production. I'll see a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,200-yard rusher, Rashad Amos. 1,200-yard rusher, Rashad Amos is at Miami of Ohio. And he's the starting running back, and he's at Miami of Ohio. Should I go and give him a 10 or a 9 in his rating and say he's the greatest running back in the world? No. Because when he transfers to Ole Miss, he can't get on the field. Because there's different running backs there that are really good. That doesn't mean Ole Miss has the best running backs. It doesn't mean Ole Miss is going to rush for 2,000 yards. Oh, he rushed for 1,400 yards. But then that means the Ole Miss running backs are going to go for 2,000. No, it does not. I have no idea how many yards they're going to rush for. You got to look at the opposition, what the coach plans to do. But talent-wise, those players are better than 1,200-yard rushers everywhere. So what I'm trying to tell you is Kentucky defensive players, whoever's leading the nation in interceptions right now, whoever it is, couldn't start at Kentucky. Whoever leads the nation in sacks right now couldn't start at Kentucky's defensive tackle spot. There's not a linebacker at Georgia better than the Kentucky linebacker. You know how I know? Because the Georgia starting linebacker is the Kentucky starting linebacker. Literally. Dumas Johnson has been a 2-year starter at at Georgia, and he just transferred to Kentucky. So Kentucky has a better linebacker than Georgia. Doesn't mean Kentucky has a better defense than Georgia. It means they have better individual players in certain groups. It's not a hard concept. You told us Kentucky was good. Liberty wins Conference USA. No shit. I was so high on Florida State and DJ Uiagalelei. Well, that's unfortunate. What up, Lewis Henson? Roll Tide Roll. I wanted Quinn Ewers to be the new Giants' next quarterback. Just saying. Oh, well. I don't even care about stuff like that. Why is Virginia Tech not looking good? Not looking as good as they should after returning a lot. Armin, so you return everybody, and you won 7 games last year. So what are they? Are they a 7-win team? You return 7-win guys. I don't know what Brent Pry's doing. I don't know how much better you want them to look, though. They lost week 1. They won week 2. There's not much else we can say. They lost. They won. Maybe they win again. Maybe they keep winning. I think they're going to keep winning. So give them time to keep winning. They don't look as dominant or as explosive. They don't. I think there's a ceiling to Kyron Drones as a quarterback. Remember last year when I was telling you Kyron Drones isn't any good, and then I looked silly because he played great? Well, here we are. And they're struggling. Man, they're struggling. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with coaching and matchups. That's all it is. Rico, are you impressed by Louisville freshman running back Isaac Brown, or would you chuck that up to playing lower competition? So, yeah, I'm impressed anytime a freshman beats out other players on the team. Okay, I'm impressed by freshmen who get on the field because I know that reps are limited. I know you have to do good in practice and then get there. So that I'm impressed with. The fact that he's dominating some substandard teams, there's nobody on those teams as good as Isaac Brown. Fair? Like, Isaac Brown would be the best player on those teams if he went there. So that doesn't really impress me all that much. But I am impressed with the fact that they're giving him an opportunity to get on the field and see what he's got. So that's kind of how that goes. Miami has 12 players and they're too deep. FSU has 11 to 12. Miami recruits the trenches better for sure in the high school ranks. So yeah, more 11 to 12 and 12, right? So they have equivalent amount of players and they're too deep from the same recruiting classes. The only difference is Miami's players are far better. Far better. That's why Miami's ranked so high, because they got it right in recruiting. They found 5 stars and they're starters, and they've developed them. They're far better. It's not even comparable. We're talking about a top 10 team versus a team that's maybe top 40. Maybe. I don't think Florida State's top 40. I don't. And I said that before the season. I said Florida State was going to have a TCU-like year. They were not going to be relevant by any means. And I'm 100% right. I had them on the under. What was it, 8.5 wins? I had them on the under. Thoughts on Wake Forest? Wake Forest looked terrible. I believe in Wake Forest front 7, but they're finding ways to lose games. Even with the immense amount of production from Bachmeier, they're still not getting it done. And the defense is actually just failing them. You cannot fail like that in the fourth quarter if you're going to be led by your defense. So I hope they figure that out. But Branson Combs was supposed to come through at linebacker. It's not working out. Their defensive line and linebackers are supposed to be the strength of this team. I don't see anything dominant. And I already knew that was going to happen when they didn't really shut down North Carolina A&T in the season opener. I was like, what the hell? North Carolina A&T got 100 yards rushing on you? Man, it's going to be a long season. So I think Wake Forest is just – Wake Forest doesn't have a lot of NFL players. If you're in the Power 4, you need NFL players to be that competitive. It's kind of like basketball, right? Who's got the most pros usually goes really far in March Madness. Yeah, I think that Wake Forest has no pros. Like maybe two. And they're in insignificant position groups. They'll figure it out. They'll try their best. They have a good coaching staff. But it's the ACC, man. It's deep. Thanks for watching, guys. I've been streaming for over an hour and a half now. I'm going to call it a night. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow when I talk about the Big Ten and the MAC. Okay? And just remember that if you want to see the UFC, want to see the picks, know who's going to win for Saturday, get to the Patreon, become an MVP. You also get all the MVP level plays and picks for week 3. They're already posted. Let's rock. I'm going to get up that chart for the UFC here shortly. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Thank you, guys. Peace.